Rise of Autonomy, Ch.5. Is that a Chihuahua? Ross stretches his arms across his broad chest. His perfect blue eyes widen. What happened with your eyes? How did you get out of the shielding? I wrestled with the Chihuahua but failed to contain the wild dog. He avoids my question. Would you like to grab breakfast before the Grandmaster sees us? There's cameras everywhere, you know. He points to Joe's diner. Ross gets a hold of Peanut before I can, and barges into the Western Cafe. I chase Ross into the diner as he throws the door open. He slides into a booth in the corner of the crowded restaurant, firmly holding Peanut, who's showing resentment by flashing his teeth. A large woman comes to us wearing raggedy clothing. What do you want? All we have is drinks. No food shipments again this week. Just 2 black coffees then, Ross says with a half-hearted smile and looks back at me. Once the woman's gone, he asks under his breath, Are you a capitalist? No, I'm just sick of fighting. I don't even understand what a capitalist is. Give me my dog back. Ross shakes his head, struggling with the unruly dog. A capitalist is someone who doesn't believe the government controls things. They like chaos like the Texans. That's besides the point. I broke out of the shielding to warn you. If you don't come back, the Grandmaster and the DCB are going to start suspecting we're getting too strong. And there's a rumor going around the state that they have a bioweapon that they're going to use against the kids in the shielding if they start thinking we're getting stronger than the DCB. Plus, I'm sure you know your Romeo is working with the Texas government. They're just trying to trap you. I want to rip his head off. It's idiotic to think my motives are romantic. I comprehend perfectly that my ambitions are entirely selfish, though. I'm not working for the capitalists, and I'm not working for the state. It's just me and Peanut now. Ross gives up the dog and points at a camera in the doorway. Do you think you can just vanish like that? The state sees all. The state will kill us all if you three don't return. We've kept away for the good of the whole population. You can't be free. They'll find you. So just come back while they're willing to forgive. Why don't you arrest me now? Az and Lily aren't coming back, even if I do. I feel that swelling in my throat like a 10-pound weight on my chest. I can't turn on Az after he didn't make the wise choice in killing me to save his own people. If I go back, they'll rechip me and I'll be sent to kill people like Az, or reassigned. Maybe if I run to the capitalists, they'll help me disarm the bioweapon that Ross is talking about. Then I can start my own life. I can live with that. It's not entirely selfish. I make it through breakfast as Ross scolds me on my foolish insubordination towards our great state system. I guess getting on his last nerve is something me and the dog are good at. It's not long before the town starts to come to life. Men and women start to trickle into Joe's diner to get a weak cup of coffee. I notice how tattered their clothing is and how long their faces are. They all share a stare of desperation in their eyes. I wonder why they don't look like the pictures of the state's great welfare system I've seen in films. What do you think of all this shizzle? I ask as the lady slides me a cup of lukewarm coffee. I've only ever had coffee a few times in my life, but I remember liking it alright. It's not nearly as satisfying as a spoonful of peanut butter would be right now. Shizzle? Ross asked with a snarky tone, sipping his coffee. You know what I mean. What do you think of life outside the shielding? I asked, trying to hide my smile. How would I know what you meant by shizzle? He laughs, in such a human way that any onlooker might assume that we're just 2 teens hanging out. I like Ross the most when he laughs, but it doesn't happen often. Ross's smile fades as the man approaches our table. Piper, I think it's about time for you to wrap things up on your little adventure. A DCV police stands over us. I let Peanut onto the floor, and the dog scrambles onto the other side of the room. The officer looks down at the dog as it runs across the room, and I take the opportunity to run. I hardly reach the door before another police bear hugs me from behind. I elbow him hard in the nose, and he flinches back in pain. Holding his face, I burst through the door and look around. There are 3 DCB cars parked outside, so I'm guessing there's more police somewhere. Piper, I hear Az yell. I turn around, but I don't see him. Az, I yell back. Over here. I see him peer up from behind the cop car. The door flies open. Ross walks out wearing a cowboy hat, with Peanut firmly in his arms. Where did you get that? I'll tell you about it later. Run before they come. He starts running. I briefly gaze back to ensure Ross is following us and the state troopers aren't. At, at that brief moment, two soldiers that are after us fumble out of the diner. I yank Ross by the collar of his shirt and into an alleyway between two shops. One of the shops looks like it's about to cave in on itself, and the other looks newly abandoned, with clothes and goods unlooted in the windows. Az follows, panting. I don't think we lost them. They're still coming. Ross shoves one hand in his pocket and looks around anxiously. I'm about to do something stupid. Like, Az demands in a threatening tone. I see Az raise his hands combatively if Ross tries to rat us out. Helping you idiots. Ross's eyes search the group for a moment. My eyes follows him to a cream-colored brick that has crumbled off one of the buildings next to us. He bends down, picks it up, and without considering how much noise it'll make, smashes the window. I flinch back, covering my face as he shatters the glass, as shards of glass fly out. Well, if the guard didn't know where we were, they sure do now. Az pushes Ross out of the way, stepping through the shattered window. Ross shakes his hand as he drops the brick. I briefly see the skin on his hand is cut from the glass, before he shoves it back in his pocket. I don't know whether to thank him or apologize, but both seem inappropriate. I follow Az into the dusty shop, and Ross follows me. The shop is full of leather bags, boots, and clothing all in colorful patterns. I thought, from looking through the window of the shop, that it was newly closed, but all the dust begs to differ. A thick layer of dust covers all the trinkets like paperweights and fake potted plants, all ornately displayed around the store. It's weird thinking people used to buy this crap before the war. Nowadays, this is all seen as capitalist nonsense. The wooden floors squeak as I gaze around. I turn back to Ross, smiling a little because the floor sounds so funny. He looks as if he's going to say something when Az blurts out, "Get down." He drops to the floor. I hide by sinking into a round clothing rack. I have to hold Peanut extra tight as he tries to get out of my grasp. Ross slinks out through the smashed window from behind the novelty t-shirts, with his hand firmly in his pocket. Two soldiers pass in the alley, and I barely hear Ross's conversation. "Hey, I checked in here. I haven't seen them yet, but I'll keep searching for them. If worse comes to worse, I've stuck to the Grand Master's plan." I wonder what the plan he's talking about is. Maybe he's setting us up. I know Ross isn't a perfect person, but I don't think he would plot against me. Then again, he's never gone soft on me in a fight, either. I watch the two guards march to the store next to us, to search. Ross comes back inside the shop and mutters, "You don't know what I'm risking letting you two go." I peer out of the clothing rack as Az stands in promise. I'm going to disarm the weapon, so it's not totally stupid. Ross shakes his head and gnaws his lower lip, while whispering something he knows is reality. "Don't come back. Please don't come back." "What do you mean? I can't leave you and Gia behind. I'll be back." I hate to break up this touching moment, but we need to change out of our shielding uniforms so it'll be harder for the soldiers to spot us. Az repeats what we all know. "I'll keep watch. Hurry up," Ross barks. I choose the yellow sundress from the window display and the denim jacket to keep my arms covered from the sun. It's a bit moth-eaten and dusty, but it'll have to do. Az dresses in a holed flannel shirt and jeans that are too small. Lily's getting the plane ready. Let's hurry. Az takes Peanut from my arms, and I turn to reassure Ross that it'll be alright. He pulls me in for a hug, and I perceive it's a threat and almost take him down, but he's not trying to fight. He's trying to be empathetic. I can't understand his motives for this act of humanity, so I push him away. He places the oversized cowboy hat on my head in such an annoying, theatrical manner. I roll my eyes and follow Az out the broken window. Ross keeps the troops distracted as we sneak out the back of the alley onto the open field of dried up grass. Then we follow the path towards a safe house, which is a few miles away from the city. We meet Lily in the field behind the safe house. The propeller of the plane sputters to life, and Lily jumps into the pilot seat. "You can fly?" I feel all the nerves in my stomach. "That's what the state trained me for," she says with a smile wide across her face. Is that a puppy? You can pet it when we get to Texas, Ez jokes, throwing himself into the co-pilot seat. Come on, Piper, we don't have all day. I hesitate. If Peanut and I get on this flight, there's no going back. I'll be considered one of them, making it harder to come back for Gia and Ross. I quiet the pounding in my head and step into the aircraft. I know it doesn't make much sense to stay here any longer. So, in one seemingly insignificant action, I'm fully aware that I'm trading a world of uniformity for a lifetime of freedom, whatever that might look like.